Hello everyone. Today we are looking at one of the very important topic related to the communication between young adolescent children and the parents. There are certain areas of communication that need to be open and honest between the parents and children, which often are understood or not handled appropriately, or most of the times parents feel how we can talk to young children, adolescent children about these topics, shying away or finding it difficult to open up the topics is something that we are going to discuss in today's video. So mainly the communication gap between the parents and the young children, especially the adolescents, come in when certain important areas are unaddressed, or the children end up depending on an outside source, or for that matter on their peers who are equally confused, unsure about the situation or what to tell their friends, or ending up into some risky situations where exploring into prohibited sites of internet, or ending up into some risky sexual kind of behaviors. So today we'll look into some of those important concerns in the video. So the very important first area that I wanted to bring in here is about concerns related to the sexuality and the changes that happen in young adolescents and adolescents regarding the sexual area. So a lot of sexual related questions or unanswered questions, confusions, that often the parents have difficulty in opening up the communication, and children usually depend on the internet or equally confused peer group, or getting into some risk kind of behaviors in order to know about various aspects of sexual behavior. So it is important, especially the same gender parent is available when some such questions are, coming up, or the open talk between the teenager and the same gender parent is very, very important. It often builds the trust and comfort in talking areas, such areas, uncomfortable areas. If you look at even at a high school level, the chapters related to reproduction, chapters related to menstrual cycle are often skipped without giving them the relevant information, and often the curiosity of these young children getting into unnecessary risky kind of exploring into resources that are not really helpful to them in a much more mature way to handle such issues. So sexuality and the changes that happen, both physical changes as well as the emotional changes, that is something should be an open topic between the parent, especially the same gender parent, and the young children and adolescent. So a related topic to the same thing about the safety of the touch. So we are hearing news very, very frequently about a lot of unsafe kind of situations related to young children, be it physically unsafe touch, or sexual abuse kind of a thing, or verbal abuse, where often children are unaware that it is something objectionable. And then most of the times, this unsafe kind of a touch which happens usually are with familiar people known to the family, and could be the neighbors or family friends, where in the busy schedules that you are just leaving the children. It can also happen anywhere, wherever there is a kind of secluded or isolated kind of possibility with the young children and an adult. So it's important that as young as 4 years or 5 years, most of the times we think that this abuse kind of thing happens only with the girls. It is completely a kind of myth. Equally, boys are also equally affected with these kind of unsafe touch. So it's important for young children to be told very openly, again by the same gender, based on the age of the child, about what is safe, what is unsafe, and then when you should look for a kind of communicating when things like that happen, and then how it is important that you listen to them very carefully if the child is trying to express about something that the child is uncomfortable about. The believing or trusting the child is very, very important. In the clinical practice, we often seen some of the married couples, when they come to that age where these abuse or unsafe kind of behavior starts unearthing, and then they start blocking their relationship with the mature relationship with the spouse. So it's important and not a shy away topic for the parents to explain to their young children what is safe, what is unsafe, who come under the safe circle, to whom they have to inform if something objectionable happens. Most of the times, children themselves are unaware what is safe or unsafe. So it is important to educate them by using a story kind of narration, kind of story narration, or some of the videos, beautiful videos that are available taken by young children themselves about what is safe, unsafe touch. So these are the kind of education and the information that the parents, even at school, the life skills teachers, and it's important that they openly explain to the children, and make them do small demonstrations in the class using charts or using some visual or audio material, so that it's easy for the young children to understand. So about the physical as well as the sexual abuse or unsafe touch kind of behaviors is one area that parents are often at loss as to is it imagined by the child, or the child is telling. I mean, usually children are very honest in their communication, and then they openly talk about their experiences. It is as parents we attach the kind of label to that, saying this is called this is called that. So being a good listener and then trying to be a little observant where the child and what's happening to the child. Ideally, it is always better that one parent is available other than the school time around the child is much more recommended. So that is one another area. And the other area is about related to a kind of a long-term chronic diagnosis like cancer, to any significant family member, or when there is a loss or death of a family member. Often children are left uninformed, and they have no idea what's happening, and then a lot of questions in their young minds as to what happened to this person, where did they go, and what will happen, are often not addressed or not openly communicated by the parents. Often there is a lack of skill as to how should I tell, what should I tell, and then they end up telling that such a person went out of station, they will come after 6 months, or these kind of hiding the information will not really help them. It's not unusual that the children will get terrified or they are afraid. So it depends on how you handle the situation. So it's important that at their level, in their understandable ability, that you explain them in simple terminology as to what is happening, and then definitely children will be able to understand, and then addressing the questions that their come up in their young minds is also very important. So there are some important books written by children authors as to how you can in the story narration form. So it is actually a Telugu book, Agupinchani Amamma. So you can actually see the picture, how when there is a death of a significant close family member happens, and then how in a story form, in a narration form, how you can explain the children when they are asking about their lost family member. So this is something that I feel is also very important to communicate to the children at their age, trying to keep them in some relative's place or not letting them look at the details of or attending the rituals. So all these things are important for the children to understand that these are all part of one's life, and then they should be able to understand how to deal or handle these kind of situations. So that is one other area that I want to bring a notice to. And then the next one is about the teasing and bullying. So often in our clinical practice, we have seen, especially high school children, where one child has confided that his mother, being a teacher in that particular school, he is often being teased about it, and then is unable to tell. Even the mother is unaware until unless the child is out of the school, and at some point it has been brought into picture. The mother herself is unaware. So often children who are shy, anxious, are usually being bullied, and then they are being teased, which often goes very unnoticed, and then they silently suffer for the fear that if they inform to authority, maybe they might be victimized more, or they will be humiliated more. So they often try not to kind of openly talk about it, and then silently suffer. So it's important at the school front that during the break time or lunch hours or play time, there is some authority who is keeping a watch on how the children are conducting, and whether anything is happening to children who are shy or anxious or not very communicative. So definitely these simple precautionary measures will help them at the school. Even at home, it's important for the parents to spend at least 40 minutes to 30, half an hour to 40 minutes post the children come back from the school as to what happened in the school, and then how things are happening in the school. So spending a little time, telling them, or be open to listen to their general school routine will also bring in. If something happened on that particular day, it's very easily the parent will be able to understand that something happened today, why the child is upset today, instead of one fine day when things become too worse or unbearable and ending up into something very problematic. It's important that a parent or some close family member kind of be available to the child once they are back from the school. So this is something about teasing and bullying. And then some are the other important areas are like adoption. So when a child is taken for adoption, it is again our in the practical, they tell the counselor that the child is adopted. And then if we ask if the child is aware, maybe the child may be aware, or the child must have listened to us, we are not sure. Maybe through their cousins they must have come to know. So it is important that at some point the adopted child should know that they are being adopted, and there is nothing that they have to feel go through any of the negative kind of feelings as to how the children react to this. It also depends on how much or how you are handling the situation, that is more important. And uh, telling the children in plain words as young as, it is highly recommended that the adopted children know about their adoption at the earliest, so that at time to time when things are turning out to be where they should be able to know and then think that it is all right. And there are many children also with who are well adjusted, feel a little proud that they have been specially brought, and then they really feel good about that. And there is the other side as well, that they completely reject the parents, and then a lot of things that they especially brood over when there is a negative relationship built up around the teenage or adolescent period. So adoption, that the child is adopted, need to be spoken to the child at some point. If needed, you can take a professional help, but it's important that the child know about it through you as parents rather than any other source. So the other area of concern is again expressing negative emotions, like say anger or sadness or fear or anxiety. These are the emotions we have often seen. Even an adult has limitation in expressing these negative emotions, as to most often it is a lack of skill how to express, or sometimes it can be concerns like, if I express my fear, will I be looked down, or a kind of inferior kind of a feeling, or will I be looked as an inadequate person, or whether the other person look at it as a emotional weakness or might manipulate. So a lot of concerns related to expressing the negative emotions have been the reason why people often hide them and don't want to talk about them, and often end up being more stressful when they have to deal with such situations. So it is important for the young children. It is as natural as feeling happy that you're feeling sad. It is as natural as that you're feeling tensed or afraid. Is a very very natural emotion, and there is nothing that you have to feel embarrassed about feeling them. And expressing them or verbalizing them is very very important. So helping the young child to verbalize these negative emotions is very important for them to handle the stress as the life moves on. The increased stress levels with the different lifestyle that we are going through, with the kind of complex lifestyle that we are in. So it's important that the verbal expression of these negative emotions be understood or learned by young children, which will be very helpful for them to handle their lives at present and even in their future lives. So, and other important topic that I want to throw light on is about the parental decision to separate, or that telling the child that they are single parent. So there is this well-educated parent once told that my daughter is feeling that the father is coming and picking up the child, and then why is my father not coming and picking up me? So it is important that the child know, instead of trying to hide them that they are working somewhere or they will come after so many years. It's very important that the child know that, especially if it is a teenage child, when you are making this decision, that things like unbearable things like an chronic alcoholism in one parent, or if there is a continuous emotionally high noise level which is affecting the healthy growth of the children, when you are forced to take a decision to move in separate ways, it's important that you involve the children, especially if they are of the teenage and 15 plus years. Involve them in the decision making process, addressing their concerns that the parents are available emotionally, and it is only, this decision is made only for the sake of helping them for the smooth functioning and then health of all the family kept in mind, and that it is the parent is concerned parent will be available emotionally or physically whenever the child is required. So these kind of open talk is very very important. So these are some of the areas that I wanted the parents to understand, and some at the school level also by the teachers, especially related to sexuality and the teasing aspects and safe touch. These are some of the areas the school teachers can help the young children to develop these kind of concepts so that they are able to understand when something is not going well in their day-to-day life, or when it happens. Thank you so much. Now with this we have completed the child series, and we are moving on to the final round of our videos about the family therapy. So here in the last round of our family therapy, we are going to look at some very practical areas about live-in relationships that more and more couples are preferring into live-in and cohabitation kind of relationships, and a lot of remarriages, adjustment, how the past of these couples, does the past of these couples affect the remarriage, those kind of practical areas. And we look into the family factors related to various psychological conditions, how the family environment will act as a cause or maintaining, or sometimes it can bring in a recurrence of these health psychological issues again and again. So some such important family related topics that we will move on to from the next series on. Hope this little bit of video will be helpful to the parents as well as teachers to just to sensitize the importance of being honest and build the trust between the parent and the children. Thank you so much.